Everyone is looking for something. Some call it God, some call it truth, others call it awakening. But here's the strange thing: the one who is searching is already the very thing being searched for. It's like wandering through deserts chasing a mirage, all while sitting unknowingly on the treasure chest you thought was buried somewhere far away. The map, the quest, the exhaustion, all of it is drawn by the very treasure itself. And so the search continues endlessly, not because what you're looking for is hidden, but because it has been too close to notice. This is the paradox at the heart of human longing. If divinity is infinite, where could it be absent? If awareness is already here, what sense does it make to search for it as if it were an object waiting to be found? Generation after generation, seekers have filled temples, joined monasteries, consumed teachings, all chasing what is already animating their very breath in this moment. The question we must face is unsettling but necessary. If the one doing the searching is already it, why can't we see it? What blinds us to what is most obvious? That is the mystery that we're going to explore in this video. Why the act of searching itself sustains the illusion of absence, why the mind resists the simplicity of what is already present, and what happens when that resistance collapses, leaving only the clarity of being. If you stay with me till the end, you may feel the ground shift beneath you. Not because something new will be handed to you, but because the obvious has a way of finally being noticed when the noise grows silent. What you'll hear here isn't something to adopt or believe. It's an invitation to look, to test, and to trust your own intuition above anything. Let's dive in. For as long as humans have been able to wonder, we've been searching. Pilgrimages across deserts and mountains, libraries filled with scriptures and commentaries, meditation halls echoing with chants, all of it propelled by the conviction that somewhere just out of reach lies God or enlightenment. But beneath this devotion hides a subtle trick. The very act of searching assumes that what you seek is missing. And once you assume absence, every step only strengthens the illusion. It's like chasing shadows in the late afternoon. The further you run, the longer the shadows stretch. They seem to lead you somewhere, but no matter how far you go, they remain just ahead. Religions and philosophies have built entire systems around these shadows, offering ladders, rituals, and promises of eventual arrival. The self-help industry has taken its own turn, selling methods and programs that assure transformation if you just keep striving a little longer. The result is a marketplace of spiritual hunger. Seekers convinced that the next teacher, the next book, the next retreat will finally deliver what has always been missing. But the desert is endless when you chase a mirage. The image of water on the horizon is convincing, but the closer you get, the further it recedes. The thirst intensifies, and with it, the hope that maybe the next horizon will be different. Yet the oasis never appears, because what you're chasing was an illusion from the start. The most curious part is the blind spot. We look in scriptures, in gurus, in ceremonies, in states of altered consciousness, but we almost never look at the one thing that has never left: awareness itself. The quiet, unassuming presence in which every thought, every vision, and every longing arises. It's overlooked precisely because it is constant. We are so accustomed to its background presence that we search everywhere else, convinced that something so ordinary cannot possibly be divine. This is the seeker's paradox. The more you search, the more distance you create. The more distance you feel, the more you search. And the cycle tightens until a lifetime can pass in the pursuit of what was never absent. The tension this creates is not a flaw in human spirituality. It is the very fuel that keeps the game alive. And until the game is seen for what it is, the hunt never ends. What if the very thing you've been searching for has never moved? What if it has been the silent witness to every moment of your life, unnoticed only because it was too close to see? Beneath every thought and every experience, there is something that doesn't come and go. It doesn't begin when you wake, and it doesn't end when you sleep. It is the simple, undeniable fact of being, the quiet recognition of I am. This awareness is not dramatic. It does not announce itself with visions or thunder. It is the background constant, the mirror that reflects everything yet remains untouched. Thoughts change, emotions surge, bodies age, but the one noticing has been the same since your earliest memory. If you pause for just a moment, you'll see it has always been here, watching even your attempts to search for it. We imagine awareness as something personal, as if I am observing the world. But look closer, and the boundary between observer and observed begins to dissolve. The tree outside, the sound of your breath, the thought of me watching this video, all of it arises within awareness. It isn't that you are observing awareness, but that awareness itself is effortlessly aware, including the idea of you. Like a mirror, it reflects whatever stands before it without judgment or preference. The mirror does not struggle to hold the image of a mountain or reject the image of a storm. Awareness functions in the same way, open, clear, allowing. And just as you never see the mirror itself but only its reflections, you rarely turn your attention toward the awareness that makes every experience possible. This is why so many teachers across traditions have pointed again and again to the simplicity of presence, not as a belief or as a philosophy, but as an experiment in noticing. When the search finally collapses, it doesn't feel like a grand discovery. It feels like exhaling after holding your breath for years without realizing it. The weight of striving, of chasing after some distant perfection, begins to dissolve. And in its place is something so ordinary, so intimate, that it almost feels like nothing at all, until you notice the quiet joy of finally being home. The end of the hunt is not dramatic. There are no fireworks, no divine chorus. It's more like laying down a burden you didn't know you were carrying. For the first time, you are not measuring yourself against an invisible standard of worthiness. You are not climbing ladders, waiting for approval from a God imagined somewhere else. You are simply here. And in this simple presence, there is a peace that no achievement has ever delivered. Life itself begins to feel lighter. Where once decisions felt like heavy crossroads, they now carry a quiet ease. The current of awareness runs beneath everything, guiding without pressure, steady without force. Fear softens, not because obstacles vanish, but because you are no longer facing them as a small self struggling to survive. Instead, you recognize that every challenge, every joy, every silence is unfolding within the same presence that you are. It is in silence that this becomes clearest, the stillness beneath it. A stillness that reveals itself when the mind stops chasing and simply rests. In that silence, the idea of distance collapses. God is no longer out there waiting to be found. The divine is this very awareness, so close it cannot be separated from a single breath you take. And when this is glimpsed, even briefly, life takes on a different quality. The mundane becomes sacred. The ordinary carries a shimmer of intimacy. You find yourself walking through the same world as before, but no longer as a seeker trudging toward a horizon. You walk as awareness itself, free, spacious, quietly alive. But if the truth is so close, why do we miss it? Why does something as simple as awareness feel almost impossible to recognize as divine? The answer lies in the mind's devotion to separation. The ego's very survival depends on maintaining the story of me as distinct from everything else. To recognize awareness as what you are would dissolve that story. And so the ego works tirelessly to distract, defend, and resist. There is a fear beneath this resistance, a fear of vanishing. If you are not the roles, the memories, the ambitions you cling to, then what are you? To the ego, this feels like death, and so it clings harder, preferring the familiar prison of striving to the unknown freedom of being. This is why so many seekers spend their lives accumulating methods, teachers, and experiences. The endless ladder of self-improvement keeps the identity intact. As long as there is a goal ahead, me gets to survive as the one climbing. Striving has a seduction. It gives us projects, milestones, and the comfort of progress. But progress toward what is already here is an illusion. It is like polishing a mirror in hopes of seeing the mirror itself. Every polish reveals another reflection, never the clarity of what holds them all. And yet, the ego thrives on this endless task, because without it, there would be nothing to defend. There is another obstacle, subtler but just as powerful, the ordinariness of awareness. People expect God to be dazzling, overwhelming, unmistakably otherworldly. When they are told the divine is as close as their own breath, it feels like an insult. How could something so plain, so unremarkable, be the source of all? And so the obvious is rejected in favor of something more dramatic, more exotic, more distant. We also hand our authority away, convinced that teachers, doctrines, or systems hold the secret we lack. In doing so, we overlook the one place no authority can enter, the immediacy of presence. The truth resists ownership, and so it cannot be sold or given. It can only be recognized. This is why the simple truth remains hidden. Not because it is veiled, but because it threatens the very structures we believe keep us safe. To notice awareness as God is to let go of the one who has been searching. And until that fear softens, the obvious will continue to look impossible. When the recognition settles, life does not end. It begins again. But this time, every step is infused with a quiet radiance. The ordinary world, once dismissed as mundane, becomes alive with intimacy. Washing dishes, speaking to a stranger, feeling the sun on your face, each moment carries the pulse of divinity. Nothing needs to change for life to feel transformed, because the transformation is not in the world, but in how you meet it. This is the everyday God, not hidden in temples or distant heavens, but present in the smallest gestures of being. To pour a glass of water, to hear the laughter of a child, to sit in silence with a friend, these become sacred acts because awareness itself is revealed as holy. You discover that the ground you walk on has always been the altar. Striving falls away, replaced by presence. Life is no longer a project to be managed, but a current to flow with. From this presence, action arises naturally, without the burden of proving or perfecting. There is a sense of being lived rather than doing the living. Every encounter, every challenge, is met with the same presence that held your first breath and will hold your last. And in that presence, the world takes on a playful quality. The dramas, the victories, the losses, all appear and disappear like waves on the ocean, while the ocean itself remains vast and still. To live as this awareness is to see the world as God experiencing itself through countless forms, endlessly creating, endlessly dissolving, without ever leaving its own essence. Time softens here. The future loses its grip, the past loses its weight, and what remains is the eternal now, the only place anything has ever happened. And in this now, there is no separation left to maintain. Every face you meet, every sound you hear, every breath you take is recognized as the same awareness looking back at itself. The inhale, the exhale, the quiet awareness that knows both. None of it can be separated from the infinite. You are never outside of it, and you never will be. This is the riddle that has no solution. The seeker is the sought, the path is the arrival, the question is the answer. Nothing has been gained, yet everything is revealed. To glimpse this, even for a moment, is to realize you are never missing, never lacking, never apart. And so the question remains, lingering like an echo. If God was never lost, what are you still searching for? I'll leave that question with you. Sit with it. Let it unsettle you, soothe you, or confuse you. And if something stirred as you listen, share it below. I'd love to know what recognition or resistance surfaced in you, because this is not a journey walked alone. It's awareness speaking to itself in countless voices. If you feel called to continue circling deeper into these mysteries, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.